what's up everybody? Back on the Supra. So now I'm finally at a point where I'm ready to start tearing into the girl. And I finally named the project. I call it Project Fever because it looks like it's fever red. I really like that red and I think I'm gonna roll with that probably for a while. So what am I gonna do first? Right out the gate, there's some things that I've noticed about the Supra that I just don't like. And the things are not large. It's actually pretty small, and maybe most people don't notice this, but it's something I've always noticed, and noticed it more once I actually got it in my possession. Well, what is that? Let me turn on a light here because I felt I'm out back. All right, so what is that? Something I noticed about the flares on these things. The front flares are significantly bigger than the rears. Now, there's something about that that annoys me because, you know, also they're set higher and they're larger, as the rear ones are much smaller and themselves, you know, are kind of like, I don't know, like anemic a little bit or something like that. So something I had noticed was the actual height of the flare in the front as it pertains to the one in the rear. It's considerably lower, smaller, and inset more. I do not like that. I am going to basically, because I actually like, you know, the weird thing is that a lot of guys don't like the P-type flares. I actually love them. I think the fact that they're kind of like squarish looking, they're not like a regular looking flare, they're kind of like squarish. I like that a lot. Now, what I'm gonna do is, I've already started by putting this, this blue tape here, essentially setting a height line as far as like, well, basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make new flares for the back. Basically, I'm gonna make flares that match the fronts. And, you know, I thought of a number of different ways to kind of approach this. I said, all right, you know, what if I buy another set of front ones or find a set of used front ones and cut them and graft them and make them fit the rear? And I may do that, but I doubt it because I can just straight up make these. And I was like, you know what, since I can straight up make these, let me just go ahead and make them the size I want to, because if I want to run some pretty big meat in the back, I can do that if I make them. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to establish this height line. So I actually made it to match the height of this rear corner lamp, and that's going to be basically the top. So as you can see here, oops, sorry, can't get it. As you can see here, the baby flare right there, it's set lower, right? So this like fascia right here with this little line or whatever, I'm going to basically move that up. Now, I had already removed these, right? So I am going to essentially make another bigger version of that, whatever, but it's gonna be higher, like probably about right there, right? And at that point, I'll be able to extrude it, make it as wide or however I want to do it. I haven't decided yet. As you can see behind this, the flare, the metal is actually quite good. Down there, if you can kind of see. Just dirty than a mug. Now, since it's dirty, I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to basically establish a bottom, what do you call that? A foundational place to start building off with foam. And then I'm going to fiberglass once I actually create the shape again. And so there's going to be a bit of shaving. There's going to be quite a bit of cutting. And you're going to be there with me to watch that, because now the fever's out. Because, man, it's already summer. And right now, man, I got to admit, it is hot, hot, hot in here. And I'm feeling it. So let's go ahead and get this started. And come with me, man. change of plans. So the fender flare that I made out of foam to go on the back here, actually what happened was, so it's 93 degrees here in Atlanta right now, and which it caused the fender flare, the foam, to warp, to actually contract. So I'm actually going to go with my initial plan from early before and make a copy of the front flare and just go from there and modify from it. So how am I gonna do that? So what I did here is I put a foundation of blue tape, and then I painted over the blue tape with PVA, polyvinyl alcohol, and basically a release agent. And with the release agent, now I'm going to just make a copy of this and take that and build off of that. I might either integrate it to the original back flare's ends and make that as the middle and build it downwards, or something. Just depends on how it all kind of like shapes up. So this is what I'm gonna go with right now. So yeah, hold tight. Also, I forgot to mention too, I started working on the hood because somebody, before I got this, decided to be an axe murderer and chopped the darn hood with an axe or something. There was these huge gouges that actually were all across the hood, like so. I have no idea what that was from. And I didn't actually film that. I had already started kind of working on those areas. I did a bit of paintless dent, and as best as I could, because there's so many like veins behind the hood, that I had to use some metal glaze to flatten it all out. I'm gonna have to repaint the whole thing, so I might as well go ahead and correct a good portion of that stuff, you know, in a real good way. So that's what happened to the hood. All right. I got an idea. One thing that I kind of wanted to do on the Supra that I've never seen done on a Supra before is actually apply something that most old school Fuchsia guys on their fender flares have. These little inset little flanges that are actually there. That's how the fender flares are actually bolted in. I've never really seen anyone do that on a Supra. I said to myself, you know what, while I'm here, let me go ahead and make these look like they're bolt-on. So it gives a little bit more credence for the fact that these fender flares that come on these P-type fender flares kind of look like it's an upgrade for the body rather than just an extension by doing it Fuchsia way. So basically classic Japanese car way. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get Villain to 3D print me these little tiny flanges, and I'm actually gonna hard mount them into the fiberglass fender flares that they're actually made of. These are, the stock ones are made of fiberglass. I'm gonna take the fronts the way that they are, I'm gonna cut them in, and then I'm gonna glass them in, and then the rear ones, while I'm making it, I'm gonna cut them in and then glass them in there. So yeah, I think that's the move for that. And it's gonna look pretty cool because, I mean, this kind of look, but with this boxy kind of 80s look of Fever, yeah, it's gonna be dope. These little pieces right here, I'm gonna cut out those white little spots where I'm saying that those locations are supposed to be. And I'm going to hard mount these in. And once I've hard mounted them in, it will look like this, because I've already done one. So, bam, like that. So let's see if you can kind of see it. You can see one right there. There's one right there. There's one right there. And there's one right there, right? And that right there is now essentially a bigger stock fender flare, just like the ones that are on it, but with the little tabs on there now. Now that looks really the style I wanted to do. So, and that goes right there. Oh, I don't know if you can see it, but yeah. So once those are actually in, which from the back I had already glued them in, and then I'm about to go over the whole thing with fiberglass to give this whole setup one more layer of thickness. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to the front here, and I've already marked on the front here where, a little bit far, let me bring out the outside. All right, so already marked here in these locations where I'm gonna cut out on the stock flare and put those little insets. Yeah, that is actually starting to shape up there. Oh, y'all haven't seen this. So I'd already finished up the body work on it, and I already started straightening out everything. I think I'm about to shoot it. I'm gonna actually repaint it the same color that it was, because I actually really like it. That's actually the Toyota Super Deep Red. And I'm gonna go give it another once over, because I had fixed all that terrible damage that had happened to the top and had happened to the front hood. So I'm gonna give it a once over, which I already went over the whole car with 600 and 800. And as far as the roof and the hood, I worked it all the way down to 600, 800. And since she's all straight, I'm gonna give her I'm gonna get a little bit of squirting. I'm gonna squirt something. All right, looks like it's time to shoot the Supra. Let's go ahead and start squirting something. We're gonna paint something. All right, Scott?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, here we go. There she is. the Supra's done. Well, done for now, that is. So after all that hard work, I finally got it to a point where I'm really enjoying how it looks. And you saw that I widened the rear fenders and now they match the front. Gave it a fresh coat of paint, blacked out the Celica Supra wheels that it has on there, made the chin spoiler, and did a little bit of a once-over, added my upper banner, little Fuchsia black cloud banner on the top. And literally, just with all of that, it really kind of brought it all together in a way that I really feel like it's mine now. So I can't wait to get this out there and roll around and go to car shows in it and stuff like that. And a little bit about this car that I found out through the build process of this and finding out other things that is pertaining to this car specifically, is this car actually has a JDM 6M GE motor in it. Actually, it was installed by this company here out of Atlanta called Jarco from back in the days. It actually has a real old vintage sticker on it that is a bit of evidence for that. And I know two people who were actual employees of Jarco and gave me a little bit of a breakdown on this. So the thing is about the 6M motor that's actually in it is something that is super rare. And at the time in the late 90s, early thousands, when Jarco was importing these motors and importing Japanese rare motor sets and half-cut cars and things like that for the American market, it was actually easier for them to get 6M GEs than it was to get 5Ms, which is what these had. The only difference was when you brought the motors here, they had to change the intake manifold. So instead of the 6M's manifold that says 3000 on the intake, it actually is just a regular 5M style Toyota on the top of there. So it's pretty cool. When I heard about that it has the Jarco 6M, it was pretty fun because I wasn't planning to swap the motor at all. It runs like a top. Ever since I've changed the radiator and changed the fuel pump in the gas tank, it has been running like a top. And I've been rolling around with it even during the process of doing all this body work and paint and updating work, that I actually think that that motor in there has got more than enough pep that I want to get out of it, and it's manageable so that my wife can drive it if she wants to. Yes, it is an automatic. I'm gonna keep it automatic. I don't have any big plans of doing anything like that, because if I'm gonna go 5-speed or 6-speed or something like that later, then I'm probably gonna go with some kind of wilder motor like a 2J or something like that in it. But I don't really have that want for that 2J feeling right now, because the Grand National, my other 86, pretty much gives me all that I need when it comes to that feeling. Turbo 6, Japanese sounds, sounds of turbo. I got everything I want from that Grand National. So with this, it's solely old school 80s goodness Toyota Supra. And that's what I want to keep it, because I'm gonna enjoy it like this. Other than that, you got it. You see how it looks? Nice and Akira looking red almost in a way, and I'm kind of living that 80s dream with this one. Come with me with more. I'm gonna roll around with it in places and show you some of the spots I go to, but until then, thanks for following. Next time.